Yeah, good times. So, internet issues. Don't know exactly if my last video has worked or not. So I'm just going to go with maybe it hasn't and go from the top. So, today I'm going to be talking about who is shaping who. Great question, thanks to Marty. But what he's getting at, to add to that question, is secular media shaping Christians, or is Christian media shaping the secular world? So I'm going to share a few thoughts on that. But what I'd love for you to do is tag someone that you think would love to join in on this conversation, um, so that they can see what's going on here and they can throw in a question or a comment or join in with what's going on. So let's dive right into it again for the second time. Sorry for those of you that were on before or watched the first one and then got to this one. Anyway, let's roll with it. First thing I would say is thinking about how we define the term media. So when I use the term media, particularly media theology, I'm meaning beyond just like the news networks or the television stations or Hollywood or like the media that we often talk about like that. I'm more referring to the containers of content that help and shape our lives. So like a book is a form of a media. It's the plural of a medium. So, television is a medium. The plural of medium is media. So sometimes it's a bit confusing in that respect. But that's not to say this question isn't relevant and good and appropriate. It's just that I think sometimes, in particular, we need to think beyond just the content, just what's in something, and be thinking about how things are being shaped by the actual things themselves. So, like, here's an example. I just mentioned TVs and televisions, and how we use those is really different now with on-demand TV, that kind of stuff. But the lounge room of a home is most often designed around the TV as the feature item in that room. Now, before TVs were there, that didn't occur. Okay, so do you sort of understand how, by the introduction of this new medium of television, it's reshaped that whole environment of the lunchroom and how we interact. And in a way, as time's rolled on, people have TV dinners, so it's even influenced and affected how around the table is often experienced. So that's where we'll go with some of this, but not so much today. But I just wanted to say there's a broader definition with media. The other thing that I want to say in this space is one of the things that I think I didn't come up with it in this way, but it's certainly something I've held. But I think we forget that Christian isn't an adjective. I mean, there's exceptions to the rule. Maybe you can think up some, but generally, the term Christian, it's a noun. It describes a person who follows Christ. The things that they create aren't by definition necessarily Christians. So I think sometimes we can become a little bit too focused on using Christian as an adjective rather than as a noun. And that's where it becomes kind of blurred in this space of is Christian media shaping the secular, or is secular media shaping us? Now, to answer some of that, so if we take the other definition of media, is a television in and of itself Christian or secular? It's kind of, well, neither. The same with a lot of technologies. Your smartphone, is it Christian or is it secular? It's neither. It's just a medium that brings a new, allows you to do new things, an extension of what you can do. So, our world is being shaped just by the very fact that there is TV, that there are movies, that there is smartphones, that there's all these other kind of things, and they're neither kind of secular nor Christian. Now, at the same time, I think that there is a role to play for Christians creating content. I think the real difficulty that we find is there's a couple of guys, Woods and Patton, and what they talk about, the difference between transformers of culture and I can't remember their term, but so one group want to have a conversation in the space of secular proclaimers is the other group. Yeah, so the Transformers have a conversation in the space, so they're happy to like take a movie, say, Gran Torino, that has this powerful story of redemption of this guy who, an old guy that's fought in the war, that's now found himself alone and isolated in a community that is got a whole lot of Asian people moving into his neighborhood. These are the same sort of people he fought in the war, and in the end, there's this powerful story of redemption. That's all I was saying, in case you haven't seen it. Transformers are happy to open that up and have a conversation about that. Now, that movie's MA for violence and for languages, and there's some heavy stuff in that movie, but they'd rather say that's something that opens an opportunity to speak of the good news of Jesus. Whereas the Proclaimers are much more about saying, well, we've got the message and we want to cast it and get it out there. So you see, probably, not that I've seen all of them, that moves, say, prayer, or I've seen like Facing the Giants and things like that is specifically created by Christians with the intention of proclaiming the message. So for me, personally, I think both have a role to play. I probably fall more towards Transformers. I think that there are opportunities for the goodness and grace of the way we understand the world out of the framework of our Christian faith, for that to be expressed through what we label as secular films. And you can't neglect the fact that there are Christians that work in those industries, Christian writers, Christian actors, that sometimes they're putting themselves into those projects because they see a value that's in them. Whereas, like, making a Christian film, sometimes some of those Christian films, to be brutally honest, some of them just, you look at it and you think, you know what, that's not my world. Everything sort of falls into place for these people when they start following God with more fervour. For me personally, that's not my world. It might be yours, and that might be great, and that's why I think there is a space for those as well. But I think also that kind of content can really speak to people when they're in a space and they need a sense of hope. I think often the powerful message in a lot of those Christian, more to use the term Christian films or Christian content, is that absolute sense of hope. So I hope that answers a little bit of your question, Marty. I think probably we get shaped by the media more at a higher level. I think, unfortunately, the powerful storytellers of our day are TV shows, movies, definitely, still books. Yeah, people still read books. So, but unless we've got Christians that are willing to step into those industries and tell powerful stories, then we are going to be influenced over time by the stories and the narratives that are being shaped more by a secular mindset than a Christian one. So that's my answer to you, Marty, and I look forward to someone else dropping a question below or a comment. Don't forget, tag someone else who you think might be wanting to join this conversation, and I'll be here again tomorrow because we're doing a Facebook challenge live every day at the moment, and we'll see how that goes. And if you've got any comments, any more questions, if you disagree with me, throw it down there and I'll respond tomorrow. So thanks for coming along, and I'll see you again soon.